Hello, and thank you for watching this regional update for the Western U.S. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. I'm going to start with the national satellite picture here first thing on Friday morning. We've got a big cold front cutting across the U.S. here, cutting it in half here with much colder air, making its way into the northern and the central plains. A warm and humid air mass out in advance of that front. We've got Epsilon spinning away across the Atlantic. And then we've got very strong jet stream winds screaming in across the Rockies and a storm system coming out of British Columbia, out of the Pacific Northwest, bringing some precipitation to the region. We'll flip it over and look at a closer picture here because I wanted to point out a couple of interesting things that are visible on the satellite. As the sun comes up, we're looking at the true color image here from GOES 16. And as the sun comes up, you can see the snow on the ground across parts of the northern plains and on some of the snow-capped Rockies here. And then down here, as I put this into motion, you can see contrails. These are from jets across the region. You can see kind of the linear appearance to some of the clouds across the region. And again, those are jet contrails riding the upper-level jet stream winds across portions of Nevada into Utah and then on across Colorado. Additionally, what you're seeing here is cold air beginning to make its way into the front range here across the Rockies, making its way all the way up to the tree line here. So you see the strong cutoff between clouds, the low-level clouds, and then sunny skies across the western half of the Rockies. Now, if we flip it over and look at the radar picture again, all of the precipitation across the west is confined to the state of Washington right now as the storm system starts to make its way in. This will eventually dive in across the northern Rockies, bringing some accumulating snow to the region, and then eventually cutting itself off across the southwest, bringing some precipitation to parts of southern California into Arizona and New Mexico. Now, here's the temperature plot. I would bet that even my non-meteorologist viewers here could pick out the cold front as it makes its way through the Great Lakes into the southern plains. Very cold air coming in on the backside. Temperatures across Montana in the single digits to near 0 degrees as you make your way up toward the Saskatchewan border there. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s across California, and then you got 70s across southern Arizona. As we look at the hazards map and the fire weather forecast over the next 24 to 48 hours, we have got a mixed bag of conditions across the western half of the U.S. with very quiet conditions across the east. As you make your way through Washington into northern Idaho, portions of Montana down into northwest Wyoming, we've got winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and winter weather advisories in effect. And then across northern California, we're going to continue to watch for a fire weather risk as we head through today into the back half of the weekend, potentially a significant fire weather risk with a rather significant offshore wind event as we get toward the back half of the weekend into early next week, which we'll talk about here as we go through this forecast video. Now we'll look at the forecast, the fire weather risk here. This is today. This would be tomorrow, Saturday, and then we've got days 3 and then day 4. So this would be Sunday on the left, Monday on the right. And again, already at the day 4, we got a 70% chance here. Those critical fire weather values here again with a rather potent offshore wind event looking like it's going to take place as we go from the weekend into early next week. The next 7 days of precipitation, the forecast accumulation here on the left, and then we've got the snowfall forecast through Monday morning on the right. And again, as this trough begins to make its way out of the Pacific Northwest and then cut itself off across the southwest, we're going to finally bring some precipitation into parts of Arizona, New Mexico, into Colorado, where we badly need some precipitation, some snow to put an end to some of the fire weather risk across this region. Unfortunately, we are staying dry across northern California through the next week, and again, with that offshore wind event as we get into the back half of the weekend, early next week, we'll have to watch the potential for a significant fire weather risk across the region. Now we'll take a look at the upper level pattern as we head through the weekend into early next week. And remember, this is the system, this is the little trough we were watching coming out of the Pacific Northwest, out of Western Canada into the Pacific Northwest, creating an upslope precipitation event here because it comes out of kind of out of the north, almost out of the northeast here. We get flow that's coming up the eastern slopes of the Cascades here, leading to rising motion and our cloud cover and precipitation, rather than a traditional flow pattern would have it coming up the west coast of the Cascades, raining all the precipitation out, and that's how we end up with that rain shadow effect on the eastern slopes. But with the different trajectory to the storm system, we'll get some precipitation on the eastern slopes of the Cascades, and then on the backside, we do see ridging moving in here, so temperatures will start to warm back up, not only warming up though, but drying out as we get into the coming work week across the Pacific Northwest. This will kind of shut down what's been 1 to 2 weeks here of pretty consistent precipitation across the region. Doesn't look like it's going to be a full shutdown as we head deeper into the very end of October, the first few days of November, but definitely a pause in the precipitation across the Pacific Northwest. And then as this low cuts itself off across the Southwest, across parts of Arizona and New Mexico, as we get into early next week, this is going to bring some precipitation down to that area as this thing begins to slowly eject over the southern plains as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. That'll once again bring precipitation to an end across this region. Now let's look at the wind gusts as we head through the weekend into early next week, and we can track the winds on the backside of the front here that comes in through the weekend into early next week, and we'll look at where the winds are going to be the strongest as we get into Sunday into Monday. You can see them kind of coming down the Rockies now. We're getting some blustery conditions on the backside of the cold front here across parts of the Four Corners, winds gusting 40 to 60 miles per hour. But up here, as we get into late Sunday into Monday, this is when those winds are really going to be coming in offshore as we get into, or as we talk about northern California. So this is Sunday into Monday that we're really going to have to watch this time frame for potential explosive fire weather conditions across northern California. Now the precipitation forecast as we head into the weekend and early next week, again looking for heavy snow to make its way out of British Columbia into parts of northern Idaho, western Montana, and northwestern portions of Wyoming as we head into the day tomorrow. So let me take the arrow off there and then we'll get going here. This is Friday, getting into Friday night. As the sun goes down tonight, we'll see that snow making its way into western Montana and northern Idaho. This is midnight now tonight. And then as the sun comes up on Saturday morning, we'll still have snow falling across northern Idaho, much of Montana, pushing into northwestern Wyoming. Precipitation starting to taper off now as we go through the day in Washington and Oregon. And then snow begins to taper off across northern Idaho and Montana as we get into Sunday morning, with much of the precipitation then moving off across parts of the Central Plains. Now, as we look at the Four Corners region, though, it looks like the snow will start to make its way in late in the day on Sunday into Sunday night and Monday. This would be, let's take it back just a hair again, Sunday morning, that snow making its way into the northern Rockies, across the Rockies of northern Utah and northern Colorado, pushing into northern Arizona and New Mexico as we get into Sunday night into Monday morning. This will be sunrise on Monday morning. We've got snow across northern Arizona, scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms across southern portions of Arizona. And then this is as we get into midday Monday and now sunset on Monday evening. Still with some light snow falling across northern Arizona, parts of southern Utah, eastward across Colorado, New Mexico, and on into the southern plains. This will finally start to move out, it looks like, as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, cutoff lows, their movement, very hard to predict ahead of time, so we'll check back in on this one on Monday morning as Eric takes a look at the ag forecast of a longer-range U.S. weather analysis. But right now, this thing continues to want to spin away here Tuesday into Wednesday across New Mexico before lifting on out into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. That shuts things down by and large across the western U.S. It looks like we will continue to see the chance for some onshore flow across northwestern Washington into British Columbia as we get into the middle of next week. But by and large, the pattern does kind of shift away from being super active across the Pacific Northwest. We're looking at days 1 through 5 on the left and then days 6 through 10 on the right, the precipitation anomaly forecast. And again, what you're seeing right now is the storm system sneaking out of British Columbia into the Pacific Northwest today into tomorrow. You're seeing the cutoff low stalling out here as we get into late Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday. And then as we transition from Tuesday into next week, we see the cutoff low start to make its way off to the east into parts of Texas and Oklahoma, and then eventually off into the southern U.S., bringing through things to a pause here once again across the west. The temperature trends here, again, the first shot of cold air making its way into the northern and central plains now. The next shot of cold air will make its way down across the Rockies and across the western U.S. as we head into the weekend. We'll take a look at that here. Let's go ahead and go through time here so we can track that cold push Making its way through the Pacific Northwest as we head through the day on Saturday. The cold front then comes screaming into the rest of the western U.S. as we get into Sunday and Monday. The coldest there, though, going to be east of the Rockies, with just temperatures anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler than average across the rest of the West. I say only 10 to 15 degrees cooler than average because we are in the 20 to 40 degrees colder than average categories across the Central Plains east of the Rockies. Now, as ridging starts to build back in, we will slowly start to warm up here as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, so it's not a long-lasting chill across the West. It is temporary as we head through the weekend into early next week. We'll look at those forecast temperatures as we head through the weekend into early next week. Just to wrap this video up, here are your highs for the day today. Saturday, the cold air starts to make its way in across the Northwest. Sunday, the cold front starts to push across more of the West, and then by Monday, it has cleared the entire West. Check out those temperatures again east of the Rockies. High temperatures in the low to mid-20s in parts of Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas. And again, that's 40 degrees Fahrenheit colder than average for this time of year. 40s elsewhere across much of the West, but temperatures already starting to warm up as you get across parts of Northern California, returning to the 60s and 70s. But of course, as we get into Sunday and Monday, remember we are watching a potential volatile fire weather condition with an offshore wind event in the region. Have a great Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday morning.